Well, welcome, Cleve, to the Leaders Who Care series. We were just saying I'm super happy to have you here, not just because we haven't had another Cleve on, but because this Cleve has had a lot of great experiences. I think you're gonna bring a lot of knowledge and value to the table here. So welcome.
Thanks. And Cleve on, you said. So I remember, I think that was a lyric in an Elton John song, wasn't it?
I don't know. Did I say? Oh, I said Cleve on. So that's
I
I
got
know.
you there.
That was a good pickup, though. I'll have to check Cleon. Yeah. Um, well, the best way to start is if you can share a little bit. We'll get to the business part in a minute, but share a little bit about who Cleve is, family, where you're from originally, where you are now. Anything special you want to share?
Well, I'm a California native, right? So I'm born and raised here in sunny Southern California, and I still live here. Um, just moved a little more west than I was born. So I live on the beaches here in Orange County, and it's a great place to live and wouldn't trade it for the world. That's a little bit about me. My professional life, I'm a five-time CEO. I have done just about everything in technology as you can think of. So, and great stories to go along with it. Even starting a company, helping start a company that went, with two guys and a dog on a plastic table. And a couple of years later, we did an IPO that valued the company over $1 billion. So we were the first cybersecurity unicorn. And we also were the first SaaS company. So that makes me the Godfather of SaaS or something like that, right? So I named myself that. Actually, I was speaking and somebody in the crowd said, "So you're the Godfather of SaaS." So I kept that tag.
I would. I
So
mean,
yeah,
they declared it, so it makes it real.
that's right. They said it, so I said, "Hey, do you mind if I use that?" So yeah,
Now,
so after that, I've
well, don't tell me the whole business stuff yet. We'll
yeah,
get to it,
okay, sure.
but do you have one child? Not child anymore. What's the
No,
family look like?
I have four kids.
Hmm.
And they're all raised and out of the house and out of college. So I succeeded in all four areas there. So actually raise the kids, that's one thing, one success, right? Getting them into college was another effort, right? And then getting them out of college was another effort. So 4 for 4, that's not bad. So yeah, four kids. And on top of that, I have five grandchildren which
Congratulations.
puts me in a league of my own, right? Five grandkids, three of them live within walking distance of my house, so that's absolute heaven. So yeah, I feel good about that.
I was just at a mental health healthcare forum, and Dan Buettner was there, who's the one with Blue Zones. I'm familiar with Blue Zones at all?
I am.
Yeah. So he was there talking about it. And one of the factors in communities and people being happier and living longer are grandparents. Um, Even more so
I
if,
have to agree with him.
yeah, 100%. And even more so, just in general, but even more so if they actually live with the family. They found them to be super valuable.
Yeah, well, they don't live here, but they live close, so that's
It's
a
probably
good thing.
better.
Yeah,
In that,
yeah,
in
because
that,
at night they can go home, right?
yeah, exactly. Get them all stoked up, and then, like you say, give them back to the parents, right?
That's right. So, it's a big circle, and I raise my kids and they get in and out of college and have kids of their own. And now I've got grandkids to take to soccer practice. So I think I'm doing okay.
Yeah, no, that's my favorite thing is my kids played a lot of hockey, and if looking for the grandkids so I can start over again doing that type of thing. So,
That's right.
hey, so speaking of kids, you as a kid, you as a teenager, were you a reader? Were you organizing the lemonade stand to make
Well,
money? Did you
well,
computers?
I was an athlete. So really, I was raised right next door to a gas station that my father ran. So I had a job starting in the gas station when I was 14 years old. So I raised myself in a gas station. When I got home from school, I went to work. When I got home from baseball practice or basketball practice, whatever I was doing, I went to work, worked on weekends. And so worked my way through college as a mechanic. So yeah, that's kind of me as a kid. So, was able to pay for my college because I worked all the time, and that worked out for me well.
Huh, so I always found it interesting, the thread from kid on. And so you had some initial in your journey, you had an initial experience in fixing things, building things, doing things.
Yeah, so I'm a builder, right? So that's or a fixer or whatever and I still do that today. I've been a CEO 5 times, a fractional CEO 5 or 6 times. So I come in and I help build businesses and get them organized and get them ready. So that's kind of what I do the best. I'm very, very proud of that.
So when you went from a mechanic, I remember my dad taking the car to the mechanic. There was not a lot of technology at the time at that mechanic,
Just
basically.
a wrench.
Exactly. So how did you evolve into then technology, and what was your first business experience after that?
Well, I got into technology. I met a guy uh, through my girlfriend, which is now my wife, that said, "Hey, you want to go to work for a technology company?" And I said, "Sure." And so that really gave me the bite to get in. And make a long story short, then when I got out of college, I got a job at a little company called Texas Instruments, and was well trained, and really liked the technology industry. So that's where I started, and since then, I've gone through many iterations of it as well.
$105 Canadian, my first calculator in college, Texas Instrument. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how much mine was. I don't think it was that much. Mine was probably $19 off the shelf.
yeah, and this was in Canada, and it didn't do a whole lot, let me tell you, back then. But it was really cool. It inclined a little bit, and the whole bit, and that was like exciting at the time. So pretty interesting. What was your first influential experience?
Well, that's a great, I have a lot of great, as far as influential. My father obviously, raised me to be honest and work hard. So that was one of the things, and go to work and get there on time. So that was one of the things that he demanded. So that kind of discipline really stuck with me, and getting up, getting to work, self-starting. I think that was the biggest turn, of my life, the big lesson of my life.
Yeah, there was it. Is it General? I have the book, McMurray or whatnot, that says the first thing you should do is make your bed so you have an accomplishment or already.
That's right. So I get up and I make my bed and go to work, right? So that seems to be my life story.
I think for a lot of us, maybe. We founded our firm, Fifth Element, on the premise or basis, if you will, that leaders and their businesses can always do better when they're doing good at the same time. And you're clearly a leader, I think, in obviously building value of a company and then orchestrating it to a successful exit. But you don't just value doesn't just appear, and you have to, you know, you have to work in advance to get up to a value, et cetera, et cetera. How did that knowledge evolve for you? And share with us, if and how value to you included both economic and social impact. In other words, making money and solving a pain or an issue at the same time.
Yeah, well, when you get your first job and you learn that you can solve customers' problems, that seems to be the way that you want to go forward. How do I solve a customer problem? That's the best way. And that job led to another job where it again solved a big customer problem or a technology gap, if you will, for customers. And then that job led to another job. So that's kind of the thing I look at is how can I help other people at their, do better at their jobs, be a better business person, be a better person in general. So that really is, and being a good manager. So that's really the way I've led my management experience, is that, you lead by example, you help others, you try to get them to improve. And if you can instill a little bit of great, work ethic in your customers or your reports, then I think that goes a long way. And that is really what I like to do is you lead by example, and then you can actually they can actually say, yeah, we better get to work a little a little earlier and leave a little later and work a little harder and those types of things because my boss is doing it. So I think that's a good way to look at business.
I do a lot of sports analogies, and I think you're right on. And I think sports and life come together pretty similarly. Where, if you have a coach that is shown totally belief and trust in you by various ways of doing that, and you have the captain of your team, staying later and working harder and whatnot, then you almost can't not do that, right?
If you're the guy that shows up early for batting practice or for the shoot around or whatever, everybody looks up to you saying, hey, that guy is here's early. I'm going to get to work early. And, that guy shows up an hour earlier than everybody else for batting practice, and he's a good hitter. And so those are the types of, examples and leadership examples that I like to have.
I remember when Mary Barra of GM, CEO of GM, she was going through the manual and whatnot, and people were talking about what to wear when you go to work and everything. And she said there was a whole bunch of pages of attire, what to wear, this, and she changed it to just dress appropriately, basically.
Well, yeah, that's true. Especially in technology, it's changed a lot through the years.
Right.
You used to go to, work with a tie on and a suit and a tie, and then it became the suit without the tie, and then it became no suit, right? And now if you go to tech companies, they're in shorts and sandals. So it's changed a lot over the years.
My first crazy example was I went to Citrix headquarters in Fort Lauderdale, and I met the original CFO was there, and he took me into the IT department at that time, and there was a guy in a tank top and flip flops, and I
Hmm.
said, "Holy cow, tech is really taking." Now that was a little much, actually, but it wouldn't have happened in another department, but definitely in the tech department of
Yeah,
there.
the tech department, the rules are a little bit different, isn't it? Aren't they?
Yeah.
And it's true because as you go into tech companies today, it's even more wild. T-shirts and shorts and sandals and uh, skateboards and rollerblades and all types of different things. So
Ping
yeah,
pong.
they get away with a lot. Ping
Yeah.
pong, pool, right?
Well, if you walk in
Foosball.
a suit, you think you're being acquired.
Yeah, they think something's wrong, right?
Exactly. Oh no, what's going
Oh no,
on?
is that a banker or a lawyer
Yeah, exactly.
or
So the fourth industrial revolution was pretty well given, rightly so, to tech. AI now big time, obviously, virtual reality, etc. And they say that the fifth industrial revolution is humanity. And in our business, we focus on impact and talent and how they intersect to be sustainable. Can you explain your thought process, how you evaluate, how you make decisions when you founded a company and or when you joined as the CEO or an executive of a company?
well, people are the stronghold of every company. If even if you have the best technology and the best market, if you don't have the right people in the right places executing that strategy, then you don't have a company at all. So no matter what they say, it's all about the people. And choosing the right people, as you know, is a difficult job. So you really have to go with chemistry and go with your gut and hopefully that works out for you. So obviously if the guy's interviewing for the job, he has the capability to do the job. That's a given, or he wouldn't get the interview. But then you have to pick the right person. So I'm a firm believer that the people are everything in a company, and I do everything that I can to keep them happy, and keep them motivated.
Um, I love that answer. We talk about when we work with our clients to get what we call the right fit culture add talent. Um, because sometimes the right fit is exactly like they're at the company. You want somebody that's going to add stuff to the table. Um, they also more and more now come with the want that they're doing something good that's going to make a difference, as well as, in other words, and using technology for that, as well as making money. And we talk about how, the great leaders, the great coaches know how to put all that together to win championships, but you can't always win a championship. But I interviewed an NHL executive a number of years ago, and he said, our goal is to always win the championship. We know we won't win it every year, but our mandate is to have winning seasons every year. And that's what keeps the players on our team. But it also includes the ushers, the secretary in the office, and everybody like that. When you're building a company and building the value of a company, part of that value is getting the top talent. How have you attracted the best people to you, and then how do you develop them so that you are increasing the value of the company and to their benefit too, if they have equity in it?
That's a lot of questions, Mark.
It is. Well, it was partially commentary and partially question.
Yeah, right. So uh, it's like I mentioned earlier, it's a hard job finding the right guys. But I've found through the years it gets easier and easier for me. I've got a lot of connections in the industry, and if I want to find a really good sales guy in Los Angeles, I will know a good sales guy in Los Angeles. If I need a good guy in Atlanta or Singapore, I probably know the guy already that I want, that I think would do a good job. So just the leading by example and the success of doing, building businesses and having those businesses exit or IPO or M&A activity or just grow and be fun, then you get kind of a following, if you will. And so when I need to find the right guy in the right place, usually I'll be able to do that with my own network. So I think that's really one of them. Keeping them, well, you need to pay well, but the incentives have to be good as enticing as well. So you really need to make sure that you have the right people. You need to make sure that they're incented properly and motivated properly. And so those are all part of the management. The manager really has to do those things in order to find and keep the right people.
So in doing everywhere from Deloitte to even executive search, I worked with a lot of companies that have grown, and you've got founders that a lot of times are great at founding but not great at scaling, and then you had some that are great at scaling and not good at founding, if you will. They don't have the ideas. What's your secret sauce, if you will, because you can't just all of a sudden say, hey, I'd like to sell the company in a month. You got to build value to get to that exit. What's your, if you will, secret sauce for doing that?
I like that question, Mark. So mine is revenue, right? I found out after doing these for 100 years now, that revenue is king. And if you can focus on revenue, everything else has to fall into place. So sales has to, if your revenue is going the trajectory that you want it to go, sales is doing its job. That means marketing is doing its job. Well, it all trickles right down to engineering, right? Engineering has to be doing their job. Product management has to be doing their job. Finance has to be doing their job. So I'm finding if you focus on revenue, and you're successful, everything has to fall into place. And so I really want to focus on revenue, and that's really the way that changes companies. And if I can go into a company that's struggling, that needs additional revenue, and I'm brought in by the owners of the company to help the founder or take over for the founder and drive the business, well, the first thing you need to do is do everything possible that you can to get ready for revenue. And if your revenue is going through, like the old saying, Mark, that if the revenue is going through the roof, nothing else matters, right? If the revenue is not, then everything else matters.
Right.
So it's all about the revenue, right? So if you can make a difference in going into a company and changing the philosophy of the company to be a revenue-driven company, not a product-driven company, not an engineering-driven company, not to say they're not important, but if you're a revenue-driven company, then I have everybody in my company. It's funny, I do this all the time. Every morning, I have them get up and say, what can I do for the company to drive revenue? Even if you're a programmer, I have them get up and say, what can I do as a programmer to help drive revenue today? I mean, does that mean finish my code on time or ahead of time and help other coders or help other engineers? And you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Just something. If they have that mentality, if I get up this morning and drive revenue, even if I'm someone that doesn't have anything to do with revenue, you really do have something to do with revenue. Even the finance guy that's counting the numbers, he has something to do with revenue. So I believe that a revenue-driven executive is the best, and that's the best way to get it. And I haven't been proven wrong. Nobody has ever come to me and said, Cleve, you're wrong. Revenue's not the king. So I think I'm right.
Well, you're the Godfather of SaaS, so
Uh,
you
Godfather of SaaS, right? So
can.
I'm
So
not the Godfather of revenue, but
no,
I
but
just I hope to drive more of it.
yeah, no, I think it's brilliant, and I had a big food. Well, it was Burger King Corp. The world headquarters is in Miami. Once a year, if not more often, they didn't call them retreats, but they had get-togethers of people in headquarters to remember that if you're in accounting, marketing, supply chain, whatnot, your business isn't accounting, marketing, supply chain, whatnot. Our business is selling good food to our customers.
Mhm.
And it made them think about the business, because you could get tied up in your own discipline as that's the business almost, and not what's the ultimate goal of why we're here. So I think you're 100% smack on.
Well, it doesn't matter if you're selling food or paper
Right.
clips or, cybersecurity. What you want to do is find the problem. I'm hungry. My papers are scattered all over the place and I need paper clips. I've been hacked, cybersecurity. So you find the problem and you provide the solution.
Right.
I found that if you find the problem and find the solution, well, then the rest is revenue, right? Because then, you know, after if you serve good tacos uh, to your clientele, then that word's going to get out that these guys serve good tacos, and so that means more people are going to come, right? If you
Yeah.
sell the best paper clips, the same thing. If you sell the cybersecurity that solves that big problem, the same thing. So it's all about problem, solution, and go to market strategy.
Yeah. And your clients are sometimes your best, if not the best, champions for you at the same
That's right.
time out
Yeah,
there.
and they should be, right? Because they've given it a hard look and they've chosen my tacos over everybody else's.
Yeah, and they're paper clipped together to keep them together. Um,
That's right.
well, so you got funding and revenues. One thing I also found that is a big deal in growth companies, especially startups, that causes problems is conflict. Conflict between the founders, conflict between the founder and the investors and whatnot, that gets in the way. And I've seen that a fair amount, and it even came up more when we were introduced to this program called Nonflict, that is a way of looking at conflicts differently and people actively listening to each other. And the only reason I bring that up is I've noticed over the years people aren't always actively listening to each other and really hearing what they're saying, including customers, your boss, your employee, whatever. What's your thoughts on how conflict fits into the success of growing a company?
Well, every company is going to have conflicts, Mark. You know that, whether it be internal conflict with sales versus marketing versus products versus engineering, or there's going to be internal conflicts. There's going to be external conflicts, board of directors, investors, customers. So what I found out is that I like to know about all the conflicts right away, as fast as I can, and then meet them head on, find out what's causing the conflict and how can I solve that issue.
Right.
And that's the only way to really do it. The best way to do it is to be able to realize there's a conflict, number one, find a solution to the conflict, and then go execute that solution. If John's not getting along with Joe, then there's a, a solution to that problem. So
Yeah.
that's what I like to do conflict head on, right? There's a lot of external conflict too. Like let's say you have a reseller channel and two resellers are going after the same customer, and the customer wants to choose between one but can't decide. And so those are, and you have to figure that one out as well. So external conflicts are big as well. And there's always investor conflicts and founder conflicts and employee conflicts, as you know. So you really want to, head them off at the pass.
Yeah, and what we found also is if everybody sits down and listens to what the conflict is supposedly there, then for the most part, people can work it out.
Yes, they can. Even if you have them sit together in a room with a
Right.
mediator or me or whatever, and just, hey, let's work this out, guys. Let's find out what the issue is. Let's solve it, and let's move on.
100%. And they got to be actively listening, not pretending to listen type of thing. Do you see a
Well,
thread? What's that?
listening is a big problem. That's true.
No kidding. Yeah, I think if people actually actively listen more, you have no idea how many recruiters I've had to coach. Just listen to what the client's looking for first before thinking about who you think you could present to that client because you don't
Oh,
even know yet.
ab-
You know,
absolutely true.
not rocket science. So do you see a thread from your interests as a kid now, where you are as to how things have evolved, or was there a plan already there and you just happened to follow it?
No. No, when I was a kid, it was a lot different. Thought I was going to be a professional athlete, footloose and fancy free, no plan. And, I didn't know when I got out of high school, I didn't know what am I going to do now, those types of things. So yeah, I put my plan together as I went until I got a little older. Then I figured out I've got to have goals. And so when you start setting goals, then you start achieving your goals. And that's the way I like to lead in business as well. Every department, not, the company has its overall goal. And then I have goals for every department within the company. And then I have goals for every individual within those departments, right? So that means everybody has a goal. And so therefore, you know where you're going. It's tough to go south, or for me, it's tough to get to San Diego if I go north, right? Since I'm north of San Diego. So I really got to have a roadmap on where I'm going to go and a goal on how to get there.
That was as clear as an example as I could hear. I love it. Have you found along the way things you're proud of where you made a difference for employees and their families and maybe even the communities?
Yeah, I think so. I'm a contract CEO, so done CEO work a lot. And
Hmm.
what happens is the company is, uh, you know, God bless the founders as well. They come in and they get to the company to a certain level, and they just, now what? They just don't know how to get it to the next level. I
Right.
feel that I bring that expertise into companies to help them grow. And as you know, with companies grow, the revenue grows, but the employee base grows as well. So if your revenue gets larger, your company gets larger, you're supplying more jobs into the community. And so I think that's very important. So there have been a number of companies. We grew, I mentioned the startup that I did. We grew that company from two guys and a dog. I mentioned that earlier to, at the end, we had thousands of employees, and hundreds of millions in revenue. And so it's exciting to be able to grow a company like that and employ people, produce jobs. And that seems to be a great thing that I think is the most important.
And you know what I see happening a lot too, Cleve, is people go home and there's a couple things that can happen. They can either say, I'm tired, my boss sucks, I don't know if I'm gonna get a bonus this year. I'm not even sure, do we do anything worthwhile? And the kids hear that, and the spouse or partner, or hey guys, good to see you. I can't wait till we sit down and have dinner. I want to tell you what happened at work today. Da 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 da. And the
Different,
kids hear that also. So there
right?
is more impact than is actually obvious to us a lot of times.
Well, yeah, and they're proud of the kids are proud of their dad. He's
Right.
going to work, he's making a difference, he's coming home, he wants to tell everybody about his day, and he solves some problems, and he made a difference. And I think that's a big thing for a child to hear, is that, hey, my father is making a difference in the world, and I want to do that too.
100%. I agree. So last question on this part is, 2020, a client told me in 2021, a client told me that 2020 was the year that flew by slowly. And I said, great line. And it feels to so many people like 2020, the pandemic was yesterday, and yet years ago, almost at the same time, it's so blended together. And now we're well on way into 2024. So many things have happened. What are you most grateful for, and what are you most hopeful for?
Well, I'm grateful that I've made it this long. I'm grateful for the family that I have, and that's one thing I'm really grateful for. Really having an exciting troop, and that we all love each other so much. I think that's my biggest accomplishment right there. When you get your kids in and out of college and they go get married and they have grandkids, and now your grandkids love you. And I think that's a great accomplishment. I've
Yeah.
also had some good business accomplishments. I mentioned one earlier, but a couple of things that I really like to go in and help fix companies and build companies. So I really am, you know, really happy with the route that my career has taken as well. So, in family life and in business life, I think I'm successful. So that's really what makes it for me. That's why I'm proud.
And what are you most hopeful for?
Hopeful. Well, a lot of things. I hope the economy turns around, because right now it's not doing well, no matter what they say. And I was looking this morning at the statistics on the news, and they were saying that the rent is up 40%, and gasoline is up 50%, and food is up 40%. And I'm saying, oh my God, that and wages aren't up that much. And so there's a lot of things driving that. Uh, and I just really would be excited, or I'm hopeful that it will go back to where everything will stabilize. We're not in such a state of disarray in the world, and we can actually count on the things that we want to count on. I mean, today you can't do that because you just don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And so we wanted to get back into stability, right? I think that's what the country needs.
Yeah, I'm hopeful for that too. And if we get all that, then there's more chance peace can happen. When you get economic development, you get things going, there's more chance of that too. Thank you for being a leader who cares, and creating that legacy of a family, which is, you're right, the biggest legacy you can have, and for joining us on this.
Oh, hey, my pleasure, Mark. I'm really glad that I could join you, and thanks so much for the invitation.